And I want to welcome a very special person, Brett Mathews. He is a contributor to the Trades Growth Summit. He's a coach. He's a marketing consultant, a marketing expert. And we're really privileged to have him on because he's usually behind the scenes, right? Pulling the strings, making things happen for heating businesses across the UK, right? So Brett, welcome to what's today the Trades Growth Summit promo about accelerating your boiler sales and disrupting those big boys.
There you go. That's the sentence, disrupting the big boys club. Well, first of all, Francis, thank you so much for the kind words. And it's a real honor and a privilege to be part of the Trade Growth Summit that's coming up in the middle of next month. And the guys that are on the call today, you're in for some really good information sharing and some ideas and thoughts. And of course, let's just get straight into it, Francis, because there's a lot to get through.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the problems because, wow, at Lead Hero, we see the problems all the time. And the problems there are, I want to sell more boilers, but it seems like everything I do and everything I try doesn't work. They've tried Boiler Guide and pay per leads. They've tried marketing agencies. They've tried doing Google ads themselves. They've tried paying Google ads to do it. But it seems like nothing really clicked time and time again, yet they hear the stories of other businesses doing it and they see the national franchises, the big boys doing it. And, obviously Google ads work. So, I mean, what are they missing? What are these businesses missing when it comes to lead generation, boiler sales, and closing more of those leads?
It's a totally true picture. That's exactly how it is, how you described it, Francis. I think if I could just tell a quick story, about a year and a half ago, I started working with a pretty large, in fact, they are for sure national plumbing business. And the one question that I always asked them was when I had a room full of people and they were, wanting to learn more about how to get started. The big question I would always ask was, guys, ladies, what is your biggest frustration with developing sales? What is the one big problem that you face? And unanimously, wherever I went, they all said a flavor of the same reply, which was, we need more leads. We need to get more leads. Without leads, we don't know what we're doing. We can't develop the business. And the interesting thing, Francis, is actually, yes, of course, I understand they need leads. Every business does. It's the lifeblood. It's the beginning of the curve for every business. But actually what they really meant was they needed a sales strategy to be able to convert those leads. And that is the big stumbling block. It's what is the perfect strategy, the thing that glues it all together, that makes it all happen. And that is the big thing that I've been addressing for pretty much 5 years now, 5 or 6 years in the heating market with boiler sales. So to answer that question as full as I can, yes, leads are really important, but the big challenge for companies is actually having a full sales process. And that leads me into what I really get into, and it's understanding what makes the perfect sales process work. So next month, we're going to be going into some training material that will be available in the Trade Growth Summit, where we're going to be talking about exactly what is it that those great companies are doing. And if you do buy into the concept of being able to model and duplicate success, then the answers are there. You just need to know how to take almost like the shortcut to the wiring diagram and put it into your own business, and away you can go and see those things start to happen for you. Francis, you're muted, my friend.
Sorry, yeah. So yeah, you pointed out a lack of a strategy, right? And the strategy is not just a marketing strategy, it's a sales strategy.
Sales process. Yeah.
And it's also a lead management strategy. And there's certain it's almost like a checklist. There's a recipe, isn't it? And certain businesses have that recipe and they can bake the cake, right?
Perfect.
But they don't want to share that recipe, right?
Yeah,
You don't give your grandmother's prize chocolate that has been working, that delighting people's taste buds for generations, because that's your unique IP. That's what builds your business, and that's what brings in millions of pounds worth of revenue. And that's why the thing is that we're all left, not we, because luckily, we are doing this right now, but a lot of businesses are in the dark because they don't have that recipe. They have little bits of it, like they got you need chocolate, right? You need to do something with Google Ads, and you need sugar, but in what quantities? Right. So I wanted to use that analogy. And the problem is that businesses, it's like there's so many moving parts and it's not easy. Right. It's marketing agencies that say, yeah, we'll do your Google ads. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Just, we're not lying here and say it's easy. It's an art and it's a skill and it's something that needs to be worked on and get perfected. And marketing is never the solution to a business problem, right? So, Brett, what sort of business problems do you see in businesses that are struggling with their boiler sales?
So interestingly, again, you talked about the perfect chocolate cake, and I think if everybody could imagine that, and I certainly use that analogy an awful lot, that's made up of the perfect order and sequence. We call it a syntax, and it's the order and sequence in which the ingredients are added, the right temperature for the right bake time. As soon as you take that analogy and put it into a business concept of doing something really special, the problem is businesses start to do different things with the process. Well, we don't do it that way. We do it this way. And we rely upon quoting this way. And we'll do the quote in 2 or 3 days' time and get the quote out to the customer. And we'll do a survey. We'll send a very technical person there who's really not skilled in the art of the C word. Not that one. Communication is what I'm talking about. And that's what I mean about messing up with the recipe. There are so many parts, moving parts to a sales process, but all said and done, it doesn't really matter what business you're in, providing we're talking business to consumer like we are here. Those moving parts are all pretty similar. And if you get them right, and you said they're not necessarily easy, you're correct, but they are simple. And if you work on one piece at a time and then glue them together and then make them work, then of course you get the perfect chocolate cake, you get the perfect sales process for a business. I want to go into some of the problems that you asked me about there, Francis, and I would say I'd break it down into a number of things, and I'll say them right now. Motivation, self-confidence, self-discipline, and communication. Those 4 things are the big 4 things that I focus on. I'll say those again. Motivation, self-confidence, self-discipline, and communication skills. All of those things go towards really perfecting a sales process when working with consumers, and not so much as trying to sell to them, because selling shouldn't be a pushy experience. It should be that you're so good at those things I just said, people are pulled into you. Does that make sense? And so when I work with companies, as you know I do, I coach these skills before we get into anything else, because this is like the bottom of the Parthenon of pillars that supports everything. You've got to have what I call the right mindset. So I focus very heavily on ground up stuff and realigning people's thought processes to actually being really successful at communicating with customers. Because all day long, these guys quite often have spent their lives slinging boilers on the wall. That's the technical term that they use. And if you and I were suddenly asked to do that, we wouldn't know where to start, right? Well, might have an idea, but we wouldn't do a very, very good job first time round, or even 20th time round. And that's what those guys can do with their eyes closed. So taking them suddenly off the tools, as we hear this phrase used a lot, they're suddenly in the dark, and no one's given them the book and the skills and the injection of how to do everything, and they've got to figure it out for themselves. So what you and I have done collectively is put that into a package where we can show people the shortcut to the right chocolate recipe cake and then implement it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, this, I want to talk a little bit about the Trades Growth Summit a little bit, because this is like a preview. We brought Brett on here to talk about this training. So Brett has put together a mammoth training for heating companies. It's a UK focus. Okay, this is not a US thing, it's a UK focus. And this content is a gift. Okay, and actually, I know that, Brett, you keep your strategies very close to your chest. Okay, and as is right. And the thing is that the fact that you've actually spilt the beans on a lot of what you do and how you deliver success for the Trades Growth Summit registrants, just for a donation to Help for Heroes, that's incredible in itself. And this content is not going to be available forever. On the 15th, we're closing the doors. It's a unique moment in time where people, if you want to learn and you can access it now, and you won't be. We don't want to just give out these strategies. These strategies are for ambitious action takers who really want to make an impact, and that's what the Trades Growth Summit, the network we're building, the Facebook group. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We are not profit obsessed. We care more about working with the right businesses than taking money from people. This is why we're not even earning any money for help in this whole thing. So to get access to Brett's Boiler Sales Accelerator training, you need to go to tradesgrowthsummit.org, tradesgrowthsummit.org, and make a donation, a voluntary donation, and then you're going to be in the group, and then you're going to be you're going to get access to the online training as well. So it's really quite unique. And so let's talk a little bit about Google Ads. Let's dispel some myths. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why do Google Ads fail when people try them, when heating? I've tried Google Ads, I burnt my money, I spent 500 quid on Google, lost it all. I mean, can I just, before you answer that, Brad, I want to see we've got a lot of people here on this Zoom call. Can you put a 1 in the chat if you've ever tried Google Ads and had a bad experience? And type a 2 in the chat if you got this. You're a Google Ads, you don't actually need this training. Type a 1 in the chat if you've had a bad experience with Google Ads. Anyone? No? Lots of shy people. Okay, Kaylin Vaida, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. You've had a bad experience. Mohammed, you've had a bad experience with Google Ads. I'm wondering, never actually done it. Lee Harris says, never actually done it. Okay, that's cool. And I just wanted to say it's very common. You're not alone, guys. And it's not, no one's stupid or ignorant or anything like that. The reality is that marketing agencies talk about it pretending they're good at it and stuff like that, and anyone can do it. And that's a huge myth. Google Ads is actually complex. There's a lot of data and maths and calculations and optimization. You don't leave it. Every single day you need to go there. It's not for a layman. It's not for, people, they work on Google Ads day in, day out for many years. Like you wouldn't go to a brain surgeon. If you had a problem with your health, you would go to a specialist who had many, many years of experience doing that. And this is the problem in the industry, that a lot of marketing agencies, they just say, we can get you boiler sales, but they've never sold a boiler themselves, right? And the marketing is one small part of doing it. You have to get on the phone. You have to have your team has to know what they're doing with those leads. You have to follow up multiple times. There's all these things that you can do to make it work. And if just one of them isn't working, the whole thing can fall apart. Okay, so that's the background. Brett, where do people go wrong with Google Ads?
Okay, in great question, and it happens an awful lot, and it's pretty sad because Google Ads is a phenomenal platform. It is really a 24/7, 365 days a year salesperson. It doesn't take holidays, it doesn't take sickness, absenteeism. It will just work perfectly, provided you know exactly how to use it in the market that you're operating in. So let me just explain a couple of things. Google Ads started in its very first iterations around 2007, very, very basic form. And you might recall over the previous sort of 8 or 10 years or so that there were Google Ads all the way down the right-hand side of Google and sitting at the top as well of some of them. Now, Google have made it a really competitive arena, and it's only the fittest, only the best advertisers are going to survive. Why? Because Google only place 4 ads at the top of Google maximum, 4 ads maximum. Sometimes there's about 3 down the bottom, but nobody scrolls to the bottom of the page anymore. Why? Because everybody, I'm looking for my phone, is working with one of these, okay? And I think in the latest statistics, more than 65% of all online purchases are now done with a mobile device. And it's really a kind of a parabolic curve to achieve that now. Everybody is using mobile in order to buy. So that's something really, really important, because in order for you to make Google Ads work, you've got to respect the fact that everybody's using a mobile device. So therefore, the experience of the Google Ads combined with where you take them on the journey into your world, your landing page, your website, must be absolutely perfect. And you've got less than 8 seconds to convince a consumer that they're actually on the right page. Okay, so when you ask me, why do Google Ads fail? It's not so much that the ads fail, it's the whole solution, it's the whole ecosystem. And this is something I go into very, very deeply in the training. And you're right, I am absolutely no holds barred giving all of the information for free. And I explain all of this and how to put it all together correctly. So Google Ads in itself works extremely well. It is a very complex system. There's no question about it. It's incredibly complex. And Google are always changing things, modifying things. The big thing now is artificial intelligence. So some of the bidding strategies are all around AI. And some of the methodologies are changing all of the time. So to cut to the chase, it's a very complex platform. You have to fully understand the buyer psychology. That's a big statement. That's the big fail point. If someone gets said, well, just say it in one way, it's understanding the buyer psychology. What does the consumer want to do? Well, they want to know 2 things, only 2 things. I wish we had a poll to be able to measure this right now, but the first thing they want to know is how much. And secondly, they want to know when. And there is a third one actually that's creeping in, very much so now since the pandemic. And I wonder if anybody could guess it. It's actually, are you local to me? People want to work with local companies, and Francis, you and I are absolute ambassadors and champions for local businesses. That's where we focus on. And so it's the perfect storm if you do own a local company, but how do you capitalize on it? So I said that consumers are going to make a quick choice, less than 8 seconds. It's called the 8-second rule, and they're going to decide how much and when. And if they can't see that very, very quickly in a risk-free way, they're going to bounce off and they're going to go and look again somewhere else. So Google Ads fails because of the landing page experience that we take them to. And if that's not absolutely right on a mobile device, then of course the whole thing breaks, and that's the end of it. You paid for your click, you've incurred a cost, you've given them a web page that didn't answer their request of what they were looking for, and they quickly made a decision that you failed the buyer psychology test. So there's your answer.
Yeah. buyer psychology, and it's so true. And there's so many businesses that maybe have tried Google Ads. They're sending traffic to their website and not an optimized landing page. And that you need a competitive offer, you need mobile speed, you need the ads need to be married and matched up to the landing page. Like everything needs to be so interconnected. It's not just about, all right, I have a website, now let's do some Google ads. And yes, you may get a lead or two, but it's not going to be a sustainable, predictable business. And we say predictable, like that's where you want to go with marketing, is you know exactly how much you're putting into marketing every month, and you know that it will generate a certain number of leads. And then you know that your team will close a certain number of leads. You know exactly down to the pound, right? And then you can keep that going, or you can scale it up, or you know that if to afford another engineer, you just need X more amount of leads, and therefore you just put X more amount onto Google, depending on the location, whatnot. But that's where we want to get you, to think about your marketing in that way. So I'm wondering, does anyone here on the call have any questions for Brett at this point? Anyone want some help? Brett has been, Brett's an interesting one. We're really privileged to have him here and part of our network. Brett has had extensive experience delivering boiler sales results. Okay, he does that very, very well. He's focused on that specific product, as well as drainage, as well as marketing, but that's really for the purposes of this group, that's his thing. And he's worked with the big boys, right? And he's taking that big boy experience, many years of online marketing, data, insight into the market, how you get results. And we get to, he's sharing it with us. So if anyone wants to ask him a question, you've got him here for a few minutes on the call. Otherwise, it's a donation to Help for Heroes. I'm going to put the link in the chat, tradesgrowthsummit.org. No questions here. Let me just check on the group. Obviously, if they have no questions, they're all killing it in their boiler sales, and they could teach us a thing or two. But people can be
talk about some of the next roadblocks that people face when they're trying to sell boilers, and I'll touch on some of the subjects that we're going to be going into greater detail on. So if any questions do come in, do let me know.
Sure.
One of the big things around the whole online marketing part of it is, as we already ascertained, is obviously getting everything correct for mobile. That's a really big thing. So landing page experience, being able to deliver a guide price quote so quickly, so risk-free, without making it a difficult task for the consumer. That's one of the big things. Let's suppose that they give you their details, and you've now got those details inside your lead automation system, like, for example, Lead Hero. And what next? What happens next? What do people do? Well, they know they've got to make a phone call, but what do they say? And when they don't answer, how many times do they try and call them? All of these really, quite annoying things happen. And that's the frustrations of most businesses. Oh, I called them 3 times and they didn't answer. And I sent them a message, or I often hear we left them voicemails on their phone. Well, I ask you guys and ladies, whoever listens to voicemails these days? So why are we leaving them? It's one of those things. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to get into as to how to overcome those little problems. What SMSs should we send? What do they look like? What key things are we putting into the SMS that we know through a lot of testing and modeling and duplicating success can we take into your business and plug it into your business? So right there and then, you've got those SMS scripts, you've got the email templates, you've even got the word templates, the scripts that the best salespeople use, and they don't have to be cheesy scripts. They're just sensible things to say again and again and again. Let me give you one example. One of the first things I do when I'm teaching people to how to approach the very first call, the all-important phone call. So I'm going to give one thing away right here and right now. The very first thing that I hear people say is, it goes something like this. Oh, hello, is that Mrs. Jones? Hello, Mrs. Jones, and they'll say their name and the name of the company. How are you today? And you can hear the answer, da, da, da. What's happened to your boiler? And the person that's making the call has got no idea about boiler fault finding, by the way, but they're now in a rabbit warren about conversations about solving a boiler problem over the telephone. Totally out of control. You're out of control of the conversation, and probably you've just talked yourself out of even getting a survey. So the number one task, the only task, I kind of like ask you to think about this in your mind, a game of rounders. The first call, the very first thing we're trying to do is achieve an outcome. The only outcome is to book a survey. Now that survey is either a home visit survey or a photo survey. You know, we work with photo surveys, Francis, quite advanced photo surveys. And so that's a really good option that we have available to us. And we'll talk about that when we do the training in a couple of weeks. So the very first call, what happens? So I've just given an indication of the typical type of call that I hear. No direction, no real focus, no kind of really clear thoughts about what we're trying to achieve. So let's turn it around. This is how I would do it. Hi, is that Francis? Yes.
Hi, yes it is. Francis
Hello,
here.
Francis. It's Brett here from ABC Heating Company. Thanks for being on our website just now to get a boiler quote. You will have just received an SMS from us too. And you'll notice I've used a voice flexion there to beckon the reply. I'm trying to get Francis to engage straight away. So Francis will say something like, wow, I'm still on your website and I'm looking at booking a survey. That's amazing. And that's because we're respecting what I call the 2-minute rule. And we're trying to get in touch with them inside 2 minutes. Why? Because we're working in their time. We're not working in your time. We're working in their time. That's when they want to find out in a risk-free way how much and when, what happens next. So I encourage this very fast, responsive approach. The next thing I would say is, I'll make a joke to break the ice, and I'm looking to create rapport at this point. So I'll say something like this to you, Francis. Well, Francis, I've got the graveyard shift, and I thought I'd reach out to you. I realize time's getting on. Or if it's in the morning, I'll say, yeah, the phone just connects us straight away, and here we are here to chat with you and help you out. So we get a bit of communication going. So what's the next thing that I would look to say? Well, as I said earlier, all we're trying to do is get them to the first base, which is book a survey. That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to diagnose any boiler faults. We're not trying to figure anything out and be nice and cheesy and, you know, kind of lighten the whole thing up. We're trying to be quite direct about it. So the very next thing I'm trying to do is I'll say something like, okay, so Francis, look, you obviously need a boiler price, so I'm here to help you. And you might say something like, yeah, I'm just looking, or I'm just getting prices right now. And they're the soft objections that these guys and ladies will hear all the time. I'm just. So I ask you now, in your mind, okay, to take control of this conversation, put a big red cross through the word just. And now the sentence says, I'm shopping, I'm getting prices, and so on. So you've overcome this soft objection in your own way, and your reply is scripted and perfect every time. I'm going to say, that's great. I'm here to help you. Francis, there's only 2 things that moves the price needle in boiler prices. Now, in order for me to give you an exact guaranteed guide price, I need to do one of 2 things. I either need to do a home visit survey with you, and we'll take about 20 minutes. And at this point, I'll future pace them. I said, we will check a few things, but I don't go into all the technical details. I'm not trying to give them the recipe to the chocolate brownie. I'm trying to give them the chocolate brownie, right? So I'm going to keep it really light and explain what I'm going to do. And future pacing people is a great thing to do. People want certainty. They want to know what's going to happen. So, and I keep that really sensible and light. And I say, look, I can see you're in postcode, whatever, BS12. And this is where you're a bit creative. I'll say, look, I'm in your area this afternoon between 2 and 4, or I can be there between 8 and 10 tomorrow morning. Which time works best for you, Francis? Now you will, yeah, you're going to reply, right? Go ahead.
Tomorrow morning.
Great. So you see what I've done there. I've not said we need to do a home visit survey. Would it be okay for us to come and see you? Well, that's really easy for you to turn around and say, actually, I'm just getting prices. And now you're blown away, because even though you want to put a big red cross through the word just and try and pedal backwards, you've actually lost the opportunity. I used a technique there called the this or that approach. I said, look, I'm in your area on, or I'm there too at this time, this day. Which one works best for you, Francis? And straight away, I'm controlling the conversation,
Yeah.
not in a manipulative way, but in a way that I'm trying to get to where we need to be, which is the next base. So I've kind of like just talked very quickly there for the last 10 minutes about how I start that all important first phone call. And so a lot of the training that I do is perfecting people on knowing how to get past the very first hurdle. And once they've now got the survey booked, 9.5 times out of 10, these guys can go there and they can show their prowess, their authority, that they're trusted, and they can build rapport face to face. But doing it over the phone is a hard thing to do unless you keep practicing. And so I talk again about one of the very first modules is about mindset, and people will suck at this. They'll find it really difficult, but the only way you get self-confident and you just ooze that confidence naturally, that when you do this again and again, is through practice and repetition. And of course, repetition is the mother of mastery.
Absolutely. You know, it can sound a little bit
Overwhelming.
not scary. Yeah, overwhelming when you say, oh, well, you need a sales script, right? You need to know what you're doing and also understand not just the buyer psychology, but the sales psychology, how to control it. And this is the thing, is that a lot of businesses, it's like you've come so far on your own through referrals, through organic methods. But if you want to grow predictably, you do need that system. And the system is also about what you say and how you say it and when you say it. Because if you don't say things in the right order, you could very well lose that customer who is actually ready to buy. Yeah. So a lot of businesses, they can be a little bit, you know, things are going well, or we're going well. They're ego-driven business owners. And it's like, oh no, I don't need a sales script. I'm amazing at sales. Oh, don't tell me how to deal with customers. And then you you deal with the cold leads that come from Google, and it's yeah, because you're being schooled, right? It's not the same dealing with John, who found your website from search, or John, who comes as a referral from Betty, than a random cold PPC lead, pay-per-click, that means, who's just searching multiple businesses. And they're gonna go most of the time with the first business that contacts them, with the most efficient business that contacts them, that gives them a great experience on the phone, on the SMS. When they come to the house, you know, everything is just part of a system, right? That's what, you know, we're trying to get across here. And so, yeah, there's a question for you, Brett. Mohammed.
I can see it. Yeah.
Website or landing page, which one would be ideal to generate leads?
It's a great question, Mohammed. So it's undoubtedly a landing page. Let me explain how, first of all, Google sees a website. Google doesn't read a website as a huge website. It reads pages, okay? Google reads pages. So that's a really important thing. And then the next thing is, and this is in the realms of trying to make websites rank organically, it should always follow a very important kind of principle that one subject, one page. One subject, one page. And so therefore, if you work on that theory of what I just said there, you get a website full of pages that are one page, one subject, one page. And so you've got like this library of pages put together to form an informational pack about your business and its services and what you offer. However, The problem with that is that if you drive traffic through Google Ads to a website, a big informational website, and it's difficult to navigate around, it's not working too well on mobile. I said, think about the M word, mobile first now. Unfortunately, you're going to fail the 8-second rule. The customer's not going to find what they're looking for, and they're going to bounce off, and they're going to go straight on to another website that does give them a risk-free answer inside 8 seconds. And they think, yeah, I know exactly where I am here. This all looks familiar. This is answering my question. I'm going to stay here and work through it. Driving people to a website full of pages, they've got to figure out the menus of where things are. And honestly, it's unfortunately a disaster. So I hope it's really, really clear. You need one page that does one thing only, and it only allows them to get a price, a guide price, and then the sequence of events where we capture data, we call it permission marketing, where in exchange for giving a guide price, we are receiving their personal details, very, very brief personal details at that, keeping it simple and risk-free. We can then make contact with them inside 2 minutes and start the relationship offline. I hope that answers your question, Mohammed.
Yep. Landing page, one thing to do, take away any type of thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Any type of, there's a Donald Miller, one of my mentors, who is wrote Marketing Made Simple, Business Made Simple, amazing, amazing play. He says, you know, if you make your customers burn brain calories, that's not good. And so you dumb it down. One thing to do, one thing to focus on, make it really easy. When you send them to a website, full of distractions. So that's really cool. Thank you, Brett, for answering that question.
No problem.
Any last minute questions for Brett before we head off? I'm going to tell you guys, if you have any questions, you want to accelerate those boiler sales, tradesgrowthsummit.org. Mohammed, Lee, Chris, Kaylin, iPad.
I saw that.
I don't have the list. I think a few of the, Lee Awesome says, that's great. Awesome. Come and get more of this. We've got your back. There's going to be an in-depth training on the tradesgrowthsummit.org. And you can also reach out to Brett in the group. He's in the Trades Growth Summit group, and he's in Trades Accelerate, Automate, and Grow. So if you want to ask him a question, find out more information about what Brett is up to and see if he can help, then you can reach out to him directly. And just to clarify, Trades Growth Summit, guys, is an online vault. Okay, we are promoting it. We're opening up the doors on the 15th, and we're going to close them. So you get in there and that content is yours, but you don't have to take time off work. You don't have to be off the tools. You'll have access to the content. You can watch Brett's training while you're sitting on the loo if you want. Or even better, focusing in front of your laptop. And the cool thing is that you can consume it again and again, right? Because this is something that you're going to want to watch again, get it stuck in your head. And when it's the right time in your business, you can also reach out to Brett or myself to see, if you want some help implementing some of those ideas as well. You don't have to. And it's not a sales pitch in disguise. It's just showing you what's working, giving you some ideas to help you grow your business. So Brett, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your contribution to the Trades Growth Summit.org. And I'm sure that, feel free to network with like-minded business owners in the group as well. And great to have you part of this network.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, guys, good night. Thank you for hopping on.